or if we make time, I'm going to turn this one. I've got it started already, but this is the one that, let me turn here where the light gets it. There we go. It's a 4-piece using a sea urchin shell. And I do some things that are different, and that's what I'm going to try to show everybody. But everything I do is different. So here we go. Now I made a 60-degree cone and glued 100 grit sandpaper to it. The way you cut out the sandpaper to get it just right is you measure from the point to the base of the cone, and I set that up on my dividers. Here comes Bob Harkrider. Set that up on the dividers and then use the dividers to make a half circle. And where the stationary point goes, when you're gluing it down, if you glue it to the point, take the live center to line up the straight side, and then just wrap it around. It comes out so good that that's the joint you get. I didn't have to trim that or anything. And the way I use this, these shells are all irregular and have the bumps on them. And that's about all you have to do to get it to fit that 60-degree cone. And you do that on both ends. Now see, this one is 5-sided, kind of. You don't have to make it perfect, but it rounds it out and puts a 60-degree angle on the shell. So the first thing I'm going to do is make the bottom finial. And what I've done is I've taken little scraps of wood that aren't really good for anything else, but they're too good to throw away. You guys know which ones those are. Put it in the pin jaws and turn down a small area at the end that's flat, that's all the way around, and then put it in and you can't see the pin jaws because that camera's in the way. Well, there it is. And just put the round area in these jaws, and that'll keep it nice and straight. Then bring the tailstock up and go to turning. Now, before you ask what speed that I'm turning at, I turn as fast as I can. And I'm going to put my face shield down so that I'm safe here. So we got this tightened up in there. Now I busted Kent's chops about push cut, and I'm gonna demonstrate something here that you may know or you may not know. A push cut is when your non-dominant hand the one that's normally up here, is only applying pressure down. So anchor the tool, pick up the cut, and if you listen to Kent, and he'll tell you that the speed of the wood itself dictates the speed of that your tool is moving. And you see what you've got when you're only applying down pressure, you don't get any tool marks. I've got a few places here that's picked, but when I'm going to try to do the same cut. But I'm pulling it. That's really not a pull cut, but you get some little areas that's an exaggeration of letting the hand that's on the tool have control. Every little bump and wrinkle that it gets in the way leaves a mark. All right, enough of that. That's what I was talking about, Kent. Did that kind of make sense to you? Oh well. Okay. So what I do that's different here is this is the big end of the finial. And I start by turning a cone. And what I'm looking for is a 1/2 inch. I've got to go a little bit more. Now I'm 501. I can't get any closer. All right. Now I'm going to use these sharp corners. I've got it locked down. I'm going to use those sharp corners to put a mark. That's that very fine mark that I was talking about, and you can see that's right at the 1/2 inch mark. Now, you get the parting tool. And I see how close I got. Well, not really close enough. Okay. So now I've got a tenon here that's exactly a 1/2 inch, which is what I want. Now I'm going to go ahead and shape the bottom tenon. And it can be any shape that you want because you're making it. You know, make it any way you want it to make. I'm going to go relatively simple. But the first little bit of business I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of a little undercut right here. so that this will close up against that intermediate piece. And now, when you go in, the flute has to be straight up and down until you make a little line. When you've got that line, then you can open the flute and push. And I didn't take out enough for that big of a cut. All right, now, straight up and down. I can't see what I'm doing because the camera's in the way. And I said I was going to be a simple design, so I better get to working on simple. Get down at the bottom and you've got the fuzzies in there, just straighten that flute up. Now I've got a irregularity in that. That's a little bit better. It's a different view. Let me try something here real quick. That's a little better, but it's still focusing on that. All right, we'll step right along here and do something even if it's wrong. Now what I'm going to do is turn a little ball here, or try to. Straight up and down, turn. All right, now. All of the pressure is on the waste wood, and when I get down to the fine stuff, I'm just taking a real light cut. So all of the all of the pressure that's pushing that way is real easy. And when I'm removing the waste wood over here, that's all held by the jaws, and it isn't gonna go anywhere. But the thing that I need to remember to do is close the flute, enter the wood, and then open. Close the flute, enter, and that's wood slicing. See down here where I'm taking away the waste wood, I'm putting pressure on the wood, but it's the pressure's being taken by the chuck. Now I gotta squat down here and pick up that cut. And you see all of this is done with a push cut, so there's very little sanding that needs to go on. Too big of a ball. I got one eye looking at this overhead camera and the other one trying to focus on the tool. And I'm almost able to see what I'm doing. You guys actually have a better view of what I'm doing than I do.
So are you riding the bevel there when you do that push cut?
One more time.
It looked like you weren't quite riding the bevel. Are you holding it away too far?
No, I've got a little bit of a micro bevel back here. So that may be what you're seeing. When I'm going this way, that's more of a scraping cut. But when I'm going in here, I'm on that micro bevel. Now I'm gonna try to thin this out a little bit more, and we'll do that again.
For fine work like this, would it be better to have the tool rest a little closer to the work or not? Because it would be in an angle.
That's better. All right, now I heard somebody talking and I wasn't able to stop doing what I was doing. So whoever had a question, say it again.
I was wondering if it'd be better to have the tool rest a little closer for fine work like that.
Yeah, it is, but because I'm on this jaw and I want it straight, I'm kind of stuck there with it.
Yeah, you'd have to use a funky angle, I think, to get closer.
Yeah, and I do that sometimes, but now I've got a few little tool marks in there that because I was hurrying and unable to take the time, I've got to sand out. When you're doing this, if you pinch it, you don't stand near the risk of blowing it up. And the corners of those pin jaws are real square and they hurt a lot when you get your knuckle over into them. So I would recommend not doing that. That
You
is
read that
the
in a
voice
book
of
somewhere.
experience that you hear.
No, you
Did
can
you-
see the scar on his index finger left hand.
Yeah, I thought he just read it in a book.
No, he's got proof of that one.
I'm going to have to say, I'm sorry I didn't hear you.
Now you're probably glad you didn't hear him.
Oh, okay. Now I got a little bit of squirt can, clear, whatever. That I just put on as a kind of as a sanding sealer, I guess. But I use this hut wax for the finish. And you can't press as hard as you want to when you're putting this wax on because there isn't a whole lot holding that thing together. Now see, isn't that beautiful? Okay, you gotta buff it. You gotta use a paper towel so that the friction of the paper towel melts the wax.
What type of paper towel are you using?
The white kind that comes on a roll. It doesn't matter. It's whatever the wife bought for the kitchen. Yeah. So, if you've got wax down way down in the crack there, which I didn't get any in there. When you get wax way down in the crack and you're trying to melt it and make a good finish, well, of course you can get this part up here and that part there, and you can try to get in there with your paper towel, but it just never works. So if you get a piece of butcher's string you can ravel out one string of it, and it goes right down in those cracks and melts the wax. Okay, so that's the bottom finial, nearly finished. And now, if I get over here and hold this in place, maybe I can get it off of there without blowing it completely up. Well, you know what I did? I forgot a very important step. I forgot to drill the hole in it there. Okay, before I cut it off, I'm going to get a 1/16 of an inch drill bit, and I'm going to get my handy dandy forceps out. So that's about 3/8 of an inch deep with a 1/16 of an inch drill bit. Well, now that it's loose, I can nope, because I don't want any pressure on that when I take it off. What I can do I can chuck the drill up backwards, or you can use a little piece of wire and go in that hole that you've drilled. What that does is it keeps it from whipping. So when you cut this off, it slides up the drill bit and doesn't get all out of place. And then if you've got a little bit of something left on it, you can just take it off with a little dab of sandpaper. And then to do the finish, I've found that if I just rub it with the hut wax, then I can go over and if I'm wearing jeans or something like that, I can just stroke it up and down my leg, and it's finished all the way on the bottom. So that's the bottom finial. And now the top finial. Well, I should have enough wood there. I won't need to do anything. But what I will do is remember to drill it this time when I should. And what I've got to do glue it straight up and down and just push. Now this time I'm going to use the drill chuck. And I'm not going to lock the tailstock down. That'll allow it to find its own center. And we go in about 1/4 of an inch. And then now on bottom finial, now look out here. Get all your stuff lined up. Okay. On the bottom finial, I've got this shoulder that's right at 8.5 or 850 thousandths, which is just a little bit bigger than the flat area there. So what I want to do, I'm going to go in at an angle. Okay. So that'll come up to that bottom piece and be a little V cut. All right. So from here, I put a witness line on that and say, okay, that's big enough. So from here, cut down to the line. And I'm going straight in. Come on now. I can't see straight up and down because the camera's in the way. That's my excuse, and I'll stick to it. All right. Okay. Now we got to get rid of some excess. And release cut. Now I'm going to make another little ball. Try to make another little ball anyway. Okay, close enough. Yeah, I did everything but the right thing. The right thing is I got to figure out where, oh yeah, I measured it, that's right. So that 60-degree bevel here lines up with that 60-degree bevel. And I got to make it just a little bit smaller. Or was it this? It was this cone and not this one. So before I get done here, that could be just a little bit. That's about right. We can always open up the shell a little bit. Okay. Next thing we've got to do is drill a hole for the bail. And the wire that I use is real small, 31 thousandths or some silliness. And I'm looking for that round spot, and that's where I go through at. Okay. You always want to take that little bitty drill out of your drill before you do anything with it, like breathe on it. Now, we can bring this back up. Just use the mass of the tool rest, or the tailstock, to keep that thing in place.
What grit sandpaper are you using?
Little bit of sanding. I'm doing my rough sanding here with 400 grit. Another little shot of the juice. Now that was my drill chuck coming out of the Morse taper. Whoops. And we just take him off. Just like that. Okay. With a 1/2-inch hole in it. So I've drilled a 1/2-inch hole in a bunch of little short pieces. And I turned that to 1/2-inch so that it just fits. Except put a saw kerf down it, and where the nose of the live center goes in, it expands it enough so that it's a fit on there. Now let's see. Get a little bit of room so that I can stick this thing back in there. No, that's not going to work either, is it? Okay. That's not near close enough. Okay. Maybe that'll work. And again, what we've got to do is measure the shell. The opening on the shell is about 1 point whatever. And we put a little mark on there at about the right spot. That's just about right. So that's the major diameter. So we want to cut this 60-degree right up and down, little bite. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at this side of my cone center, and that's what I'm pushing down to mimic that angle. And I've got my mark in there so that I know that's right at the mark. All right. And that is going to go in the shell right there. So we can see it's the right size. So that's the right size for that shell. Now I can turn this around because I don't have to do anything else there. And I can hope that my centers are going to line up again because it's not exact. We'll see. It's not far off. What's happening is this is a little bit off. I can slack that up some and turn this maybe a fourth of the way around and then tighten it back up. Oh yeah, that's better. So this has to match the bottom finial. And again, the bottom finial is going to come in somewhere like that. So I can hold that up there and get an idea of where to put my guessing mark. All right, that's pretty close. Okay, straight in. Okay, so we went past the guessing mark and we're still way heavy over here. So I'm going to continue taking wood off. One more bite. Okay. Now there's a ring for something. All right. Got ahead of myself again. And we took it off without breaking it. Oh boy. Now, change cameras to this one. And I'm going to bring all the pieces, parts over here so that you can see them. We got those and the shell. I can take that hateful thing off. And I can dig around over here in my box of stuff. Okay, I've got a piece of number 14 wire. All right, I'm going to use the 14 wire to hook everything together with. Now, did I do this right? I've got to clean that out just a little bit. My half-inch hole managed to get some dirt or something in it.
Where's
So
the camera?
What's that?
Where is the camera? There you go.
There I am. I've got an air tool with a little piece of sandpaper on it. And hopefully that's going to be enough. No, if I force it, I'll break it. I wasn't real good right here. That's got a little bit of a taper on it. Well, that's what I'm going to say is the matter. Oh, there goes my sandpaper. Okay. Now, if you kind of pay attention to the grain, it'll line up for you. Then just push it down. That hateful noise maker will stop here in just a minute. Okay. Number 14 wire is not quite a 16. But it's pretty close. Come on. Any other time, the super glue would set up so quick you wouldn't be able to stay set up. But tonight, the super glue is being slow acting. All right. We got that. That goes in there. Excuse me while I search around for my cutting pliers. And now we know that this piece has got a hole that goes up about 1/4 of an inch. So you can come along here and cut that off. And then before you get carried away and put glue on it, There we go. I'm going to try something now. Put a little accelerator on that wire. Hold that. Oops, boy, it didn't go on the ground. Hey, that's amazing. And now, again, if you pay attention to the lines, okay, so that's pretty well assembled, and we'll just leave that alone for a minute. I'm going to go over here to this camera and do the next little bit. I use this stainless steel memory wire, and all you got to do is remember where the end is. Just cut a piece off. And I've got these step pliers. Got them at Michael's for bending memory wire. And they work pretty good. You kind of get the center. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to bend a round bit that's about the same size as the ball on the top. And I got pretty close. Stay. And then all you've got to do is straighten out the legs a little bit. Okay. It's got a straight spot on the legs. And so we know that the ball is about that size, so I'm going to come down a little ways. And I'm going to cut that off. So that they're about even. I got to cut just a little bit more off of that one so that they're even. Now I've got these cool little pliers, and what I do is I grab that in the flat spot of the bottom, and I try to get them to where the wire is just even with the edge of the pliers. And then put a 90-degree bend on it. And after you do 4 or 5 of them, you'll get a stick to help you. And you bend this one over and you stick this in the same place so that the wire is sticking out the same way. And you bend it over again. And what you wind up with is a little bucket bail. Now, you want to do is check and see. Okay, that's probably going to work. But what I want to do is bend it together so they're just about touching. And you can see that that's, maybe you can see, that that's just about right for that piece. Now, we got to find our hole that we drilled, and we put the hot wax finish on there so it filled the hole up. There it is. And there should be one on this side. All right. So now, all you have to do is start one side in the hole, just like that. And then you bring the other side around and get it started in the hole. And then get these very cute little pliers, and you help it the rest of the way in. Then you can just pinch them. And that, there it is. You see it leaves a little bail. It's plenty of room to get whatever you're hooking it up with onto. So that's that contraption. How are we doing on time? I got a few minutes. Okay. I'm going to go back to the other camera because I think it's got a better picture. All right. So, what you do on this guy is you take a piece of wood, mark it in about thirds, and then go in 2.5 parting tool cuts wide, and then you part it off, but you leave a little bit on the short side. Short side is going to be the top. That's the way I do it. And then when you get about parted off, stop, and you can just break it to get it the rest of the way. Okay. And you notice that I've got a spigot on both ends, tenon on both ends. And when you hollow this end, you come out and you hollow it, but you leave that little line on there. And then I use a square scraper. It's got a 90-degree bevel here, 90-degree point here. And that's what I go in with to make that rabbit for the rest of the where you've been with the parting tool. And when that little mark gets ragged, then you need to quit hollowing and try fitting it. And it goes right together. Then you have to hollow the bottom end, then you put them together, and you finish a section about that wide right there. shape it, sand it, put the finish on it, stick it back together, and wrap one wrap of masking tape around it, and then you can go ahead and finish your finial. When you get your finial done, you can take this part off because that's the finished finial then, and you can finish shaping the top. If you have to make a rechuck for it, to put this on to finish the very top, then just sneak up on it to where it works like that, and finish the turning. When you get done, you're going to have something that looks similar to this. And what I didn't say, whoops, part of it went away. What I didn't tell you was you drill a 41,000 hole in the top and bottom, about 1/4 of an inch deep. Now this is kind of cool, so I'll show you how this works. What'd you do with it? There it is. I took a piece of 16th inch music wire and put a little hook on the end. And that goes in my drill. Then I go back over here and get about 1 1/4 inches of the wire. Sorry for being out of the camera there. I was looking for stuff. Get about 1 1/4 inches of the wire and start it bending. And when I'm bending it on these pliers, I can tell which end is being shorter than the other so that I'm kind of even when I get done. And I take a pair of very handy vice grip pliers that are set to grip real hard, and I pinch that thing down. Now, can I see what I'm doing? Yes. With the vice grips pulling against the drill, up, one leg slipped out. Well, that happens because my vice grips are gripping wrong. And now I got to go in with a mess and try it again. And what you wind up doing is you twist a little eye. Grab the top of that with these hemostats so you don't lose it. And it should go right in that hole. You put 1 drop of super glue. Put that in there, just like that. And it would probably be better to use medium super glue for this, but I don't have any. And then Take that spring and do your level best to get it on that bottom hook. And what you've got here is a Christmas ornament that you can hide them 5-carat loose cut diamonds that you've got. That's a place to hide them. So when you're giving them away to your sweetheart, you don't have to worry about somebody coming in and stealing the package with your diamond in it, because it'll be safe in here. And if you don't have a diamond to put in it, then you need to get a dime, which I don't have, and put in there. All right.